Hi friends! Raven Pines here with a short commentary for you. Today I'm gonna take a look at a video by a commentator named Nihilistic Snake. They made a video on another commentator called Space Guru 5 on his commentary on a woman named Riley J. Dennis, a political commentator that discusses a variety of topics such as feminism and LGBT rights. She made a video about the sexual assault allegations against Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh made by Dr. Ford. No, not that Ford. Not that Ford either. I'm talking about Christine Blasey Ford. There we go. Anyways, I'm only going over one point in the video. Why? Because I have a lot to say, not just for this particular point, but also the entire video as a whole. Hold on to your heads, it's gonna be a bumpy ride. Now, without further hesitation, let's begin.
If he did do something, then sure, he should be dealt with accordingly. However, if he didn't do anything to them, then you're just gonna look like a total asshole for immediately siding with liars. I'm not saying that you can't or shouldn't support rape victims, but at the same time, you shouldn't automatically take what they say at face value. Crocodile tears exist, and so laws against slander and defamation exist. Basically, just be careful who you trust.
But again, the due process side doesn't have its independent standard for what constitutes a false accusation. Right now, if I said I was raped and had zero evidence to back that up, then apparently I'm a liar. This way of thinking pretty much makes it sound like rape victims are as credible as flat earthers. And no, it's not easy to prove a rape. No one plans to be raped where they can get a video or a photographic evidence. Plus, most rape happens when no one's looking, making the case of finding eyewitnesses as equally difficult. Not to mention, due process doesn't always give correct results. Hell, if Central Park 5 had due process and they still got convicted of a crime they never committed because of a racist prosecutor. Or how about judges giving either extremely light sentences to rapists or just flat out letting them off the hook because they don't want to ruin their reputations. The law isn't on rape victim side. I can guarantee you that.
Okay, 4 things. First of all, if you pay attention to the one segment where Guru counter-argues Riley's point about believing the women she mentioned without cutting in to interrupt him, you would hear him say this.
So, I believe Dr. Blasey Ford, I believe Deborah Ramirez, I believe Julia Swetnick, and I believe the other women accusing Kavanaugh of sexual assault. I believe survivors. It's clear from these accusations that Kavanaugh has a history of assaulting women. These women have no reason to come forward and put their well-being in danger if he did nothing to them.
But the thing is, we don't know whether or not any of these women are lying. At the moment, their accusations are just allegations. They haven't been proven to be true or false yet, so we can't definitely say for sure whether or not Kavanaugh even did anything to them. If he did do something, then sure, he should be dealt with accordingly. However, if he didn't do anything to them, then you're just gonna look like a total asshole for immediately siding with liars. I'm not saying that you can't or shouldn't support rape victims, but at the same time, you shouldn't automatically take what they say at face value. Crocodile tears exist, and so laws against slander and defamation exist. Basically, just be careful who you trust.
Plus, later on in the video, he talks about the statute of limitations after Riley mentions the hashtag #WhyIDidn'tReport trend on Twitter.
Lots of folks have been saying that Kavanaugh's accusers weren't assaulted because they didn't report at the time, but there are a plethora of reasons why someone might not report. Go on Twitter and read through the Why I Didn't Report tag, and you'll see so many people who have stories about why they didn't report the rapist or abuser. It's not uncommon.
While I could certainly understand not wanting to report rape or sexual abuse, the judicial system implements a statute of limitations. This is a statute that specifies the maximum length of time any prosecution can be administered for a non-capital offense. In the case of the United States, limitation is 5 years. So anything that happened before this date 5 years ago cannot be held for prosecution unless it is otherwise expressly provided by law. And in case you're wondering, rape and sexual abuse are not capital offenses in the United States. Capital offenses here include murder, genocide, espionage, and treason. I'm not saying that there can't be exceptions for reporting non-capital offenses, but those don't happen very often. I'm also not saying that you should be expected to just suck it up, report the crime, and move on as if nothing happened. I know that the psychological effects of rape and sexual abuse will never go away, even if the rapist or abuser winds up thrown behind bars. However, just know that in the United States, there certainly is a time limit for prosecuting someone in court for non-capital offenses. 5 years. Know the number.
Something that Space Group 5 himself brought up when he was checking the script is that he also explained that the statute of limitations applies to non-capital offenses, with sex crimes being included, and it's generally 5 years unless expressly provided by law. He then went on to use that statute to explain why Bill Cosby ended up getting jailed for the things he did in 2004, and why so many of his alleged sex crimes from the 1960s and the 1970s were unable to be prosecuted. It seems like you interpreted these clarifications in his stance of not knowing if an allegation is justified until it's proven true or false, as that he doesn't care about women or rape victims, among other things said in an attempt to smear his name. At the end of the video, he explicitly says that he actually does care about rape victims, as he does know people in real life who went through this. All from another person who is a liberal feminist himself, IRL. Second, you want to know what would help your arguments where sources are used? Providing screenshots for the sources you linked in the description. That way it would be easier to see the sources you used. And another thing, Trump mocking Dr. Ford is completely irrelevant to what Guru was talking about. He only mentioned that Trump ordered the allegations against Kavanaugh to be investigated, which still happened, and he even had a source to back that up. That right there is a raw red herring. Please refrain from shoving it in my face. Third, it would probably be a good idea to edit the flub-ups out or do as much retakes as possible so the audio would flow more naturally and it doesn't sound like you recorded your lines in one bad take. Any audio software you might have on your computer can give you a trimming option that might help. Lastly, and this is very prominent throughout the video, the condescending attitude towards your targets has to stop. All it does is sour the whole experience, especially since this video in particular is very politically charged. Listen, I get that you disagree with what Guru said about the Brett Kavanaugh situation, but the way you went about it seemed pretty venomous. No pun intended. One last thing before I say goodnight to the lovely guys, gals, and NB pals in my audience. I normally don't get into politics because it's just not my thing, but when I see a lot of discussions like this, especially online, is people of different sides dogfighting against each other, basically treating any political topic like a sport. It's not really a good thing if you ask me. Whatever happened to the united part of the United States of America? No, I'm serious. Dead serious. What happened to that part? Now, I'm not saying that having a political opinion is bad, but if you use it for divisive reasons, no matter what side of the argument you are on or if the reasons are not valid, it is not going to go over very well for you as a person, especially since the discussion surrounding this issue got extremely divisive in and of itself. That's all I have for this video. Until next time, this is Raven Pine saying take care and be kind to one another. Adios!